Hey all, welcome to Circle of Tone, and we're back at it again. I had a bit of a layoff because of the birth of my beautiful daughter, but now we're going to start churning them out again. And what better way to start than Piggy from Voivod, one of my absolute favourite guitarists, a huge influence on me. We're going to go into a little bit of a deep dive about his gear. So here's some of me trying to recreate his guitars. I didn't get it this time. I think I got some of the delay type of stuff pretty solid, but I tried to get close, but there's something inimitable about it. But let's just do it anyway, and we can talk about the gear, and I've got some insider information from Blacky, the bass player himself. And also, check out these pedals. He's brought out some pedals as well. He's got a pedal dedicated to Piggy, and he also has a pedal dedicated to his blower bass sound, but I'm going to check that out, that blower bass pedal, in a separate video to get a bit more in depth about that specific aspect of it. My favourite Voivod period was from the late-ish 80s to the early-ish 90s, so I'm concentrating on that era of his gear. So let's get some insider information that I got from Blacky. On Nothingface, Piggy used most of the time his Gibson Les Paul Black Beauty, a 1971. Sometimes he also uses not yet quite finished Liberatore guitar, the black one with the Floyd rose. So you can see that Liberatore in action in the studio right here. I'm saying not quite Liberatore yet because Piggy used to have his dad sending him bodies of designs that they would both work on, Piggy and Blacky. The one that looked like a BC Rich Warlock bitch with shark fins, the red one with in the Musique Plus video. I also have the body here. It is the experimental one that Mauro Liberatore gave to me for the 25th anniversary of metal in Quebec. Anyway, to make a story short, Piggy was a freak of modification. Piggy used to take apart everything he owned, but sometimes with great results and sometimes not. I was saying almost a Liberatore because Piggy did not go for one-piece type of guitar until after Nothingface. Prior to that, he would simply switch necks constantly on all of his guitars, except, of course, his Les Paul. So with Nothingface, he used that black shark-finned guitar, but not with the Liberatore neck yet. Blacky is not sure of the brand that Piggy bought back then, but Piggy bought a bunch of necks at Steve's music store in 86 and 87. So maybe it was a Warmoth, but it was always a Jackson style. So on the Liberatore, he had a white Dimarzio Super Distortion on the bridge position with a black Seymour Duncan quarter pounder set in the middle position, not the neck. Nothing for the neck position for Piggy. I remember asking him why, and he said he just sounded better that way and he didn't need a pickup for the neck position. Blacky says Piggy was such an intuitive guy and he really misses him for that. They had 6 Marshalls back then, so they used 2 each live and 2 for spare. Piggy probably used one of the JCM 800 2203s with the active FX loop pretty much all the way when it comes to albums and live, with G12T-75 speakers, Blacky thinks. So they actually rewired them to go to 16 ohms instead of 8 ohms because they sounded better that way. And also, they put in a bigger wire gauge. I do that too. As for the mics, this is awesome info. As for the mics, it was pretty normal. So Glenn used a 57 and a 906 at close mic to blend them together. And he used a Neve preamp, a 1081, and some Focusrite Forte Blue ISA 110 preamps as well. I used the Neve 1073 copy for my preamp. And for FX, his usual setup with the SPX92, I used the SPX90 for harmonizer and Ibanez DM1000, and I used the DM, a different version, Ibanez delay. Blacky does actually have his DM1000, but he also had a 500 earlier. Piggy loved the DM series so much, and he used them all the time, and they said that they had fun with those, making crazy tapes. So Live used to split the 2 amp setup with one DM using an inverse mix, and always pushing the phase inversion so much that it drive their soundman Mike Mats crazy each time. So Blacky goes on to talk about the bass gear, but I'm going to do a dedicated video to that, a second video. I've done a video on Blacky in the past, but I have more detailed information now, and I want to showcase his blower bass pedal too. So that'll be coming up in another video in the near future. So just after Blacky left the band, they did own 6 Marshall heads in total. Some were the 2203, one is a super bass in 1972. They had a super lead in 1978, but they can't recall what happened to the 2110. So they got it fixed after the tour with Celtic Frost, because when Voivod toured with Celtic Frost, Tom was pissed off at the first show at Chicago because his gear didn't show up at time. So he kicked the stack of Marshalls behind him after their set, and that was Piggy's brand new head that was on top of it, and it broke. So for the Nothingface tour with Soundgarden and Faith No More, what a tour that is, we got the new Series 9000 preamp rack stuff and used the amp only for power amp. But Piggy used an old Boss SD1 Super Overdrive, that's right here, just to give it a little kick, and it was almost always for solos, but that's about it. And their amps did have an extra mod with the tube, like I mentioned earlier. It splits the preamp from the power and the send return in the back so that they could use the power amp part. So basically they were using, sometimes they would use these amps just as a power amp, the actual Marshall. So that's it. Thanks, Blacky. That was a great breakdown of some of the seminal tones from Voivod and from Piggy, and some good insider information there. Alright, sausages, let's have a look at the pedals and the effects that we used for this, and Piggy used a lot of this gear too. So what you would use is a delay unit, a stereo delay unit, the Ibanez. Mine is a similar model that he used to use, but he only used to use that to kind of make a stereo spread. So one side would be slightly delayed, very slightly delayed, to give almost a 3D effect, so that when he was live, it would have a big, all-encompassing type of thing when he'd hit a chord. I did set that up initially with my JCM 800, you know, to have the two things going together, but I can't do it properly because I would need 2 Yamaha SPX90s, and I've only got one. So I just went with the 1 amp, which is a British style amp, but it has a loop in it. This is an amp that I was going to put out. But the loop in mine isn't active. Piggy had a JCM 800 with an active loop installed. So there's that little difference. But his main effects for a lot of those early albums was the Yamaha XPX90. So it's a pretty sweet, there's a reason why I've kept one, because it has this griminess to it compared to the pristine stuff of today that just screams 80s and 90s. So, alright, so let's just listen to my bass tone real quick with no pedals. So it's pretty just rock, you know, slightly pushed. And the main effect, the reason I've set it up this way is Piggy would have more volume, so it would be distorting more. But I just want to show you the pedals he used, and he used this Boss pedal right here. And I think these are similar to his settings. There's pretty much everything on 5-ish, if I remember rightly. Here is his actual settings, and he used to use this for held notes usually, and solos, things like that. But I do hear it on rhythm too. Like this doesn't sound. So that sounds wimpy. So, but when at the volumes he would play, that thing would be roaring. But then I'm going to get his sound a little bit better, boosting it with this. So if I boost this more, you get into Piggy land solo wise. I'm going to boost that. I'm going to boost this. So check this out. Let's go through the scope of that. Onto a caveat, this has been modded, this pedal, so it might not sound stock. And another strange thing about Piggy is that he would put the presence on full on the JCM 800. So that's pretty cool. Now let's take a look at Blacky's Piggy pedal, the faster. Let's check it out. So this is, I don't know what I've got it set to right now. I have all the EQs down. It's a gain staging thing. I think I'm getting better sounds trying to boost because I'm using this as a boost. Obviously, if you use it as distortion, you're going to have these up a little bit more. You know, if you've got a clean. Now, a nice thing about this pedal is obviously you've got the volume distortion. You've got a voice. Let's listen to the voice. And this here will engage these two. I think so anyway. So this is more of it's good for sustain and it's good for compression. So check this out. I'm just gonna do so I'm gonna hold these two notes and then turn that on and off so you can see what it does to the sustain. Just a future request. I think it would be awesome if there was a remote switch pedal for this to turn this on and off live. I can only imagine how good it would have, boosted an amp and turning that motherfucker on, holding notes. You know what I mean? It would be awesome. But you know, as is, you can still flick it with your foot on stage, which I do all the time. I'm like a monkey feet. My feet are probably as dexterous as my hands from doing the shuffle. I'm not going to be doing too much on this. This is the Blacky blower bass pedal. And I'm going to do a dedicated Fat Strings Friday to this so we can go through all the options on it better, because it's Piggy Day today. And if you're not aware, if you're new to the channel, I've already done a video on Blacky, on Blacky's bass sound. And I went a bit over the top with the distortion because I was trying to mimic active pickups, because I only had low output pickups, but I ended up going too far with the distortion. But yeah, but let's first shits. Let's just boost through this. What? So yeah, man, amazing pedals. Thank you, Blacky. You are the man. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of the options here. But let's have a play with the Piggy pedal for a little bit. So let's see what we can get out of it. I think this switch, I think this is a bass cut, maybe a low pass filter. Because check it out. To be fair, he did say don't put everything on 10. Alright chaps, that was fun. Like I say, lots of intricate stuff with this setup, and I love it. You know, I actually tried this video about 3 or 4 times. I couldn't do it. That's why it took so long. I think I got close, but I'm using a different amp and a different type of setup and a few things that are modded, and so I'm not going to nail this one. But it's mostly technique, because I don't know what the he's trying to play, because his coding is so amazing. Rest in peace, Piggy. You are the man. And again, Blacky, thank you for these. And also in the description, if you want some more Piggy info, there's a great Guitar Magazine interview where he talks in depth about his gear, which spans from the mid-80s to the early 90s. He talks about his Ibanez Universe. Ibanez Universe, he'd used Gibson SGs, Gibson Les Paul Customs. He had a red Liberatore. He had Liberatore double necks. You can see him use the black Les Paul in the Clouds in My House video. He used a green Ibanez Universe 7-string, white Strats in the Insect video, black Fender Strats, Sunburst Strats in the Tower video, Cherry SG in the 4-bus era, white SGs, Telecasters, Strats on Voivods, aluminium guitars, Icemans, Paul Stanley style models, all sorts of stuff, and that is in the description. So, deep dive on the great man himself, and I hope you like that. And I just want to thank my patrons of Tone. So I'd like to thank Neil W and SW. You guys are awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. We've lost a lot of patrons because of the sign of the times. It's tough out there, so you take care of yourself. And I know it seems like everything's going crazy, but at the end of the day, I could watch old Kill and Joke videos and interviews, and back then they were freaking out about the prospect of nuclear war. So everybody thought that they were going to die in a molten, fiery mushroom cloud of death. So the fear's always been there. Don't worry about it. Just keep on riffing and keep your head down. Alright chaps, you've been great. Coming up soon is White Stripes. And check out these pedals. A small pedal company came to me, Day and Age, and he makes these in the USA. And they're very cheap for USA made products. I think, obviously I think to get it that cheap, the parts have got to come from, China and the rest of it. But he's actually putting them together himself, and he sent me some of his pedals, and I'm going to be using a Big Muff style pedal of his with some more options on it, and on the White Stripes video. And also he sent me some interesting treble boost as well, and I expect I'll be doing a Queen video, because I didn't really like what I had. I actually have a little bit of a surprise coming soon when it comes to Queen. And that's it, man. Good times. Alright chaps, you've been awesome. I've been Owen. Circle of Tom.